Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing how to go from $0 to $10,000 a month with the land investing business. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured Discord members. Today's question is from Dan. Dan asked, when researching counties to mail, is there a metric that carries most weight? Sold to for sale ratio, days on market, population density, or is it a combination of all of them?
Yeah, really good question. Really high level question, Dan. Um, I think it's a combination of them. Like, what determines what we're trying to do with county selection is determine how viable this county is to buy and sell vacant land. And it's a combination of these. You don't want markets that are too hot. You don't want markets that are too cold. So that's kind of where the days on market. Then you also want to make sure things are actually selling. Land's actually selling. So that's where the sold for sale, and that also comes into not too much competition on the market. So to answer your question simply, it's a combination of all of them to give you a happy median for a market.
Exactly. And one thing we like to do during that kind of county selection process too is see what 5 acres is selling for. If 5 acres is selling for $500,000, stay away from that at first. If it's selling for 25, 50,000 even, those are good numbers to be at. So look at that. And also look at what, if 5 acres when they're listed on the market, if they're priced accordingly, if they're selling relatively quick, Ron, that's a big indicator. Just go
Mhm.
through on Zillow, see when they were listed, see when they went pending, and do that for 5 to 10 examples, and that will really give you the combination of all those would really give you a good feel for the county. Other than that, let's get into the show. Today's topic: how to go from $0 to $10,000 a month with land investing. And let's talk about different strategies, Ron, to start. We'll get into the specifics of going from 0 to 10,000 later on in the episode, but let's just talk about specific strategies to getting there. Like what are we doing? What are some strategies to getting to $10,000 a month with land investing?
Yeah, I mean, the main one that we teach is land flipping, buying something cheap, selling it more expensive, buying off market land deals. And the different strategies within this are how you're going to acquire. Are you going to try to acquire on the MLS, which can be really difficult? Are you going to try to acquire via email, text, direct mail, which is what we kind of preach the most of? So I think that's where kind of the strategy comes in. You could also, I mean, there's so many ways you can do it slower where you actually lease farms, whatever it is, and that can create it. But the strategy we kind of preach, Dan, is flipping land, which is buying cheap, selling less cheap, essentially. Not expensive necessarily, but selling for more than we bought it for.
Yeah, that's been the most sustainable and profitable for us. There are other things like, seller financing. Seller financing, if you collect enough notes to get $10,000 a month from just note financing, Ron, that's another option. So there are different ways. The way we teach is just through flipping land, and that's been the most profitable for us. And the sustainability aspect of it's great as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But going off that, Ron, our average profit per deal doing land flipping. Like I know there's a lot of wholesalers out there and stuff, and there's starting to it seems like some people are coming into the space trying to wholesale land as well, which is hard in the rural vacant aspect. And in cities it may be a little bit easier, Ron. But let's talk about our average profit per deal and what our margins are looking like, because I think that's what really sets us apart from other models of land investing.
Yeah, I mean, we're making anywhere from $21 to $23,000 on average. The majority of our deals, I'd say, like if we had a most common range of profits, probably like 15 to $18,000. We have a lot of six-figure profit deals that pull that up. We don't do much under $10,000, to be 100% honest anymore, in terms of $10,000 of profit. But that average spot is right around $23,000 at scale. Yeah, I mean, it ranges from $10,000 of profit to $500,000 of profit on a deal.
And we're buying, at 20,000 and selling it for
Yeah.
42,000 is what Ron's saying. Because like a wholesaler might say, oh, $10,000 of profit. That's easy. Let me get, $150,000 profit and wholesale it for 160. That's not what we're doing. We're buying for, if we have $100,000 product, we're going to sell that for 200 plus. And that's just how we do things. And that number's going up in our community because we've been preaching it more. Last year was around 20 grand for us. We have so many six-figure deals now. We have deals we're closing this week, last week, the week after, weeks coming up, $200,000 and up deals are on $150,000. It's just it's our numbers are going up. I'm curious to see where that goes, but there's no limit to it. There's a member in our community who just bought a $625,000 property. There's another member in our community, Billy, just bought a $700,000 property. So these, they're out there, and it's really whatever direction you want to go in, Ron. But our average is $20,000. So essentially, if you want $10,000 a month, what you're saying, Ron, is you need one deal every other month on average.
Pretty much, Dan. And I think kind of the hardest part is like getting that consistently because everyone wants like consistent income. And the reality of it, guys, is if you're trying to make $10,000 a month, you're going to have months where you make $0. At the end of the day, if that's all you're trying to make in this business, you will have months where you don't close the deal on the sales side and you have $0 of profit. But you're also going to have months where you make $35,000. And that's the reality of what this business is. It's not impossible, but to have a consistent every single month, I'm making X dollars is going to be near impossible. But like I said, if you're trying to make 10,000 a month, you put in the effort, the upfront action steps to make $10,000 per month. You'll have $0 months and you'll have $40,000 months.
Or 100,000. It's like Mike, Ron. He wants steady income to be able to quit his job, which I completely understand. But until you get consistent deal flow and you're sending consistent mail, it can be difficult to do at first, especially. But like Mike had a deal he bought for 66 and sold for 160, and these bigger deals, and he's having big months, and then he might have one month where he made $0 just because he's acquiring them and nothing sold at that time. You only make profit when it sells. You don't make profit when you acquire. So we could buy 20 deals this month, Ron. And yes, we have a crap ton of, maybe $1 million of equity, Ron. But profit wise, if we don't sell anything, we have $0 of profit.
Mhm. I think like the secret sauce is like, how do you make your worst month a $10,000 month, Dan? And I think that's like the question we answer. Like, you got to be targeting you got to have goals of 30, 40, $50,000, try to do consistently. And then when that $0 month is going to be 10,000, $15,000, and that's going to be your bottom month. But you got to be targeting higher numbers, $50,000 per month, $100,000 per month. And then as your deal flow picks up, like Dan was talking about, that's when like, okay, you close this little small deal this month. It's not your $50,000 goal that you wanted, but you ended up your bottom number was $10,000.
Yeah, completely agree. So let's talk about how do we get to that? How do we get to, a deal a month or so? I
Mhm.
know we're going to talk some about mail, but this let's start with that. Like from a mail
Yeah.
aspect.
It's gonna take some time to build up on itself if you guys are just getting started or just trying to get started. But if you can send 2,000, 3,000 mailers per month, 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000 mailers per month, it should yield you a deal every month, maybe 2 deals every 3 months, something like that. And that's going to end up stacking on top of it while you can increase mail as well. That's going to stack on top and become that $10,000 a month. A lot of people like start this, send 2,500 mailers, and then expect $10,000 of profit the next month. Like, that's not the turnaround time on this. It's not an unreal turnaround time, but it's 60 to 90 days from when you send that mail is when you're going to be seeing that profit. So it's consistently those first 2, 3 months sending 2,500 mailers, 3,000 mailers per month, which is not a very high volume. But you should get a deal each month. And then, like, that's going to turn into that $10,000 of profit each month, months 4, 5, 6, and so on as you keep consistently sending mail.
Exactly. And it's a long chain of events, like Ron said, from when you send mail to acquire the property, to put it for sale, to sell it, to get the money, and to keep turning it. So you got to realize, like, if you just send mail one time and then take a long break, you might get a deal from that mail, but then you're gonna have to, you close on that and you make money, and you're gonna have to do that whole cycle again. So like Ron's saying, it's about consistently sending your mail, or consistently texting or cold calling, whatever it is. Mail is how we get our leads, and without our leads we don't make money. Whether it's texting, whether it's cold calling, you got to get leads. So as soon as you turn that switch off at the top of funnel, getting those leads in, Ron, your income, it might not be tomorrow you get $0, but 60 to 90 days away from today, if I don't send mail today, I'm going to have $0 of profit, like we're saying. So it's important to keep that consistently going, whether it's biweekly mail, monthly mail, weekly mail, whatever works with your schedule. It's important to, with these type of goals, if you want 10,000 a month, and you want to form a legitimate sustainable business, it's important to keep that consistent, Ron.
Yeah, without a doubt, consistency. If you're trying to have consistent income, your mail has to be consistent. Like I said at the beginning, like you still are going to have lulls in monthly income, but it's going to be like it is going to be 10 times worse if you're not consistent with your mail output in terms of consistent income. But you can make your income the most consistent by being consistent with your mail. Like Daniel said, whether it's weekly, biweekly, sending on the 15th of every month, whatever it is, that mail consistency is going to drive your income consistency, which is your profit, which is your deal flow essentially.
Exactly. So mail's expensive. That's the one thing that sometimes holds people back. It has the best ROI, incredible return on investment, right? We get one per every 2,500 and we're getting $20,000 of profit back. Even after, if you get deal funding and all that, it's still really, really, really good margins on that, Ron.
Mhm.
But let's talk about because I want to put myself in other people's shoes who maybe don't have the money at first to send mail. What we would do, because we launched a texting program to get land, texting for land program. And if I were to start with very little money, Ron, my goal is to get one deal, right? Because
Mhm.
then you'll have $20,000 of profit sitting there. So you gotta if you guys don't have the money and resources to send mail, or a partner, or you can't find the money or whatever it is to send mail, you have to find a deal then. Figure out a way to find a deal, whether it's texting. That's a cheaper alternative. It's not as efficient, but it's cheaper. Cold calling, those type of strategies, Ron, because I want to think about like how do we get that first deal, and then you get that first deal, Ron, and then you want 10,000 a month. You get that first deal, you sell that deal. Now I can reinvest in systems. I can reinvest in the mail.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's your mentality. If you're coming into any new business, if you're trying to make a certain amount of money with little upfront money, like you need to grind out those first few months, find a way to get a deal, whether it's texting, cold calling, whatever it is, to be as efficient with your money as possible. It's not necessarily, like Daniel said, the best return on investment. But with your minimal money that you have up front, like you need to be efficient with what you have, so that's where texting comes into play, cold texting. That's where cold calling comes into play. And like Daniel said, once you get that deal, that is going to catapult you with that 10, 15, 20, $25,000 of profit on that first deal. That's going to catapult you forward with mail. You've learned a lot, I'm sure, through those cold calls, through those texting campaigns. And it's going to put you, I don't know, if you grind out that first deal, Dan, I think, and you make that 15, $20,000, I think you're going to be so successful in this because how much work it took. And now relative to mail, like mail, you can scale up once you have that money behind you.
Exactly. And mail is just such an easy way to scale your numbers up and go from $10,000 to $100,000 a month with good pricing and the way we teach things, Ron. And that's why I want everyone's goal is to be able to send a lot of mail and a high volume of mail efficiently, Ron, because I think that's where the real money is made. But yeah, if you got to get a deal, just you're gonna have to grind it out. It might take you longer. It might not take 60 to 90 days to see your profit. It might take you 6 months to even get a deal as you learn your systems and learn everything. Like it's just gonna be more of a grind in my opinion, but you definitely can get some deals from it.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta know going in. Like we're not trying to be unrealistic with going in. If you only have $1,000 or something, you probably shouldn't get into mail. You should get into texting, and then you'll build up 50, 100 leads from 1,000, maybe more than that, maybe 200 leads from $1,000 of money behind texting. So just using it smartly, I think, and then going from there is the best option for people in those situations. But you gotta like it's gonna be a grind, like you said, those first 4 months, 5 months, 6 months.
Oh, definitely, and a learning curve. Do you have anything to add to this episode, Ron? I think the key is, you know, getting your first deal if you don't have money, and if you do have money, I'd say, send 3 to 5,000 mailers a month to start out. Do that consistently
Mhm.
every month or else you're gonna have breaks in your income. You do 3 to 5,000 every single month efficiently with blind offers the way we're teaching, the money will come.
Without a doubt, it comes down to consistency. If you want consistent income, if you want to get consistent income, you need consistent deal flow. To get consistent deal flow, you gotta consistently have leads coming in. To get leads, you gotta send consistent mail, consistent text, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the sequence of events.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.